Hi everyone. So friends, in our last lecture we discussed about assume true method. We saw that how we can provide our assumption in a test case and check for any precondition, and if that precondition is satisfied, we want our test case to proceed further and execute the remaining part of the test case. And if our precondition is not satisfied, then we simply want to skip the test case by throwing test aborted exception. So friends, here we will see the demonstration of assume false method. So in our JUnit 5 project, I will be creating one class by name assume false demo. I will keep it in a package com.hubberspot.junit5.assumptions.assume_false. We'll click finish. So friends, in our last lecture, when we saw the demonstration of assume true method, we wrote few test cases which demonstrated how assume true works and what are its overloaded methods. So here I will be simply copying all the test cases and I will be simply pasting it in assume false demo. So here we will see the demonstration of 6 assume false methods. So there are 6 test cases. So I will just change the name, and instead of assume true, I will be using assume false. We will import it from assumptions classes. So friends, here in the first test case, we are seeing the demonstration of assume false method with no message. So it is simply taking in a boolean condition, which is our assumption that this condition should come out to be false, then only proceed with the test case execution. So friends, here you can see that when I run this test case, there is no system property by name env whose value is dev. Therefore this condition will come out to be false, and we know that if our condition in assume false method is false, then our assumption is passed and the test case will proceed further for the execution. So if I run this test case now, so friends, here you can see that our assumption was satisfied because there is no system property by name env having a value dev. So this assumption was satisfied and our test case moved for further execution. So here you can see on console it printed assumption passed, and then it simply asserted that 3 is equal to 3. So here you can see that our test case got executed successfully. So friends, let's say if I run this test case by changing a configuration, here in arguments, in VM arguments, I will be creating one system property which is env and whose value will be dev, and now we'll simply run it. So friends, here you can see that this time it found a system property by name env whose value was dev. So here our assumption was not satisfied, and here you can see that though our test case didn't fail, but it simply skipped this test case. So here you can see that shows that one skipped, and if I hover over it, you can see it throws a test aborted exception saying assumption is not false. because whatever assumptions we are providing is coming out as true, because we have this system property by name env having a value dev. So friends, the significance of providing an assumption is that we are considering that if our environment is dev, then simply skip this test case. So we have provided this condition, and if we have any other environment apart from dev, then simply execute this test case. So this is like our preconditions which we provide to our test method. So friends, this was the first overloaded method of assume false. Now let's see the second assume false method, which takes a message. So here I'll simply change the name as assume false with message. So here you can see that first parameter is our boolean assumption and the second parameter is our string message. So here if our precondition is not satisfied, then this assume false method will throw test aborted exception, and along with the default message, our own customized message will also get printed. So friends, if I run this test case now, let's say I provide a configuration as assume false with message, and here if I give a system property as env equal to dev, and here if I run this test case now, so here you can see that our assumption was not satisfied and it threw test aborted exception saying assumption failed, and along with it, it printed our own customized message. So friends, now let's see the demonstration of third assume false method, which is assume false with message supplier. So here the working of this test case is exactly the same. The only difference is the first parameter is our boolean condition, the second parameter is our supplier function interface which supplies a string message, and we are providing here a lambda expression which supplies this string. So the only advantage of using this supplier function interface over this direct string is that this string gets evaluated every time whether our assumption is satisfied or not. But here the supplier function interface evaluates to a string only when our assumption is not satisfied. So if I run this test case, by providing an environment property as dev, so here I am giving the test method to be assume false with message supplier. So if I run this test case, here you can see the test case got skipped and the output is pretty much same what we saw in our second test. Along with test aborted exception, it also printed our own customized message which we provided it by supplier function interface. So friends, let's see the demonstration of fourth overloaded method, which is pretty much same as first. So here instead of providing a boolean condition, here we are simply providing a boolean supplier. So this boolean supplier will supply a boolean condition. So if I run this test case, I'll change the method name. I will pass the system property, and if I run the test case, you can see the test case got skipped because our assumption was not satisfied, because we had found an environment property whose value is dev. So here it skipped the test case by throwing test aborted exception. So friends, now let's see the demonstration of fifth overloaded method, which is pretty much same as that of second. So instead of boolean condition, we are providing a boolean supplier. So here you can see which supplies a boolean condition. And similarly, the sixth overloaded method is very much similar to the third, that instead of providing a boolean condition along with a supplier function interface, here we are providing a boolean supplier function interface along with the supplier function interface. So I'll simply change the name. So friends, output of these two methods is exactly the same what we saw earlier. All the test case by removing this field as test method, because then it will take all methods, and here I will be removing this argument. So now there is no system property by name env whose value is dev. So therefore if I run the test case, so you can see that all our assumptions in all the 6 test cases got passed, and it printed the 6 system.out.println provided in each and every test method. And here you can see that all the test cases got executed successfully and no test method got skipped, because of whatever assumption we gave in each and every test method was satisfied. So friends, in this lecture we saw the demonstration of assume false method. I hope you liked this video. Thanks, have a nice day.